God, this seems like the longest preseason I've ever heard in the NBA. Seems like they started playing in June, right after the NBA Finals stopped. Gosh, they need to shorten that.
And it's something you're hearing around teams the past month, is guys are raring to go. Training camp, it's been more than a month since media day, and I think it's something the league's actually going to look at for next season.
I want to start with a team that confounds me. George Karl and the Sacramento Kings. That was such a dumpster fire last year and during the offseason, and everything that's gone on in the front office and everything that's gone on between Karl and his best player. Sacramento, is there any way to figure out what they're going to do this year, Kevin?
I don't think they're going to be very good. I think it's just a flawed team, and everybody's rowing in a different direction from ownership on down. And the West being as competitive as it is, it's a really combustible situation.
Fire continues. That's kind of what I thought, but I've been hearing people that they could be, Rondo coming in and Karl can put his system in place. And last year, looking at me kind of funny.
No, it's a disparate collection of talent, but I think they could be pretty good defensively. And DeMarcus Cousins, if he responds well to George Karl, and Rajon Rondo, if he responds well to George Karl, that could be a dangerous team. I don't think they're going to win anything, but it could be a dangerous team.
I know we're starting with something that's not really that important in the grand scheme of things, but we were just talking about Houston. Is Houston primed? And they've added Ty Lawson. I guess he's going to show the Nuggets that they made a horrible mistake, although he's got to be happy as hell. Is Houston primed in that tough West, do you think, this year?
I think they are, and their depth is what was missing in previous years. Lawson they get for free, essentially. They also have one of the better point guards in Patrick Beverley for whatever reason, if Lawson doesn't pan out or he doesn't fit their style. But the speed with which Lawson plays is a wonderful asset in Houston, which is generally one of the two fastest teams in the league. They've got backups at every position who are capable. That way, if Howard goes down, nobody knows the name Clint Capella, but he might be one of the best reserved big men in the league, and just getting better. So that's the difference between this year's Rockets and last year's Rockets, or the Rockets before, is if they stay healthy, they have uncommon depth, maybe the best bench in the league.
And Kevin, there will be an ongoing story in Oklahoma City as well. Kevin Durant's final year of his contract, coming back from an injury, a team that's expected to do some damage in the Western Conference. How do you see this all playing out for Oklahoma City this year? Wins, losses, and Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I picked them on ESPN.com to win the title, so I'm now cast with them. And look, we all forget, before the injuries went down, this was a team that was going to win 60 games, most predicted. If Durant is healthy, and look, he's had a number of foot surgeries. That's not a certainty. But by sheer talent, Durant, Westbrook, Ibaka, that core of three. And oh, by the way, a team that when healthy is consistently in the top 5 defensively in the league. We don't think about that. We just see the offensive firepower, the individual talent on the offensive end of the floor, but they are a really good defensive team, particularly with Ibaka and Adams. They have some question marks. They don't really have a starting shooting guard right now. They have bat 3 not so terrific choices. But it's just a team I think we all forgot about last season because they didn't make the playoffs, and it was a mulligan. But they're as talented as anyone.
The popular choice, everybody's, forgive me, Kevin, outside of you, everybody say, oh, the Cavaliers are there, but, they're missing some pieces at the beginning of the season that I think are relatively important when you're talking about Kyrie Irving. And I think they're going to get off to a slow start, but why? Obviously why, LeBron, but so what kind of chances are you giving the Cavaliers since you picked Oklahoma City?
Well, there are a couple things working in their favor. One is it's not a terribly competitive Eastern Conference. I think what we're going to see is the Cavaliers, particularly after last season's finals, in the effort that LeBron James put forward, the exertion, he was exhausted, he was gassed. And I think they're going to manage his minutes. They're going to manage obviously when Kyrie comes back, they're going to manage his minutes very carefully, and probably Love as well. And what's going to happen is they'll sleepwalk through the regular season. They'll win their 54 games in the East, which is unextraordinary. They might even finish behind, say, a Chicago or a Miami or Atlanta, take their chances with a 2 seed. They'll have to knock off one of those teams in the conference semis, and then they'll turn on the switch. And that's not as an expression of laziness so much as just pacing oneself. And you saw how San Antonio was managed minutes, how Golden State managed it. This is the big trend in the league. So I think a lot of people like Cleveland because it's going to be hard to win the West. It's hard. I like the West champion over Cleveland, but to get to be the West champion, you have to beat out about 4 or 5 other teams. For Cleveland to get their ticketed to admission to the finals, they only have 2 or 3 decent teams they have to beat out.
I ask stupid questions, but you brought up a team there that I haven't heard a word about, Miami.
I picked them to win the division, and I just think that, again, all things being equal, and nothing's ever equal in the league, and guys get hurt like Chris Bosh last season, but if that core is healthy, I mean, look at the talent there. Dragic and Wade in the backcourt. Luol Deng, Chris Bosh, and Hassan Whiteside, who blocks everything in his immediate vicinity, with really solid bench play up front, a couple of reliable guards who can score, coming off the bench. I just think it's an exceptionally well-coached team. There's good culture, good defensively, theoretically at least, especially with Bosh, Deng, and Whiteside up front. I think they're interesting.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, that's kind of, I hadn't heard anybody talk about them until you brought them up. We have to come to Denver, Colorado, and I have predicted that Moutier will be the Rookie of the Year. And, we got all these big guys that are wandering about, but am I being stupid there?
No, not at all. I think there's a whole lot to like there. I mean, great size. I think he's a wonderful playmaker. He almost has kind of an NBA vision for the pick and roll game. I mean, the trouble he's going to have is he just doesn't shoot the ball very well from the outside, at least not yet. And there's going to be some growing pains. I mean, he's going to throw the ball around the gym certain nights, and that's just rookie growth. And the truth is, it's hard for a rookie. Statistically, it bears out that it's exceptionally rare for a rookie to actually kind of be a net plus for a team in terms of contribution. But I think he's got a good shot. I mean, largely because he's going to get the lion's share of the minutes at the point guard. And, Rookie of the Year is one of those kind of raw total stat contests. So, any guy who's starting at a key position automatically has a foot up. So I think it'll be him, Okafor, and Porzingis is starting in New York. He's a guy I really like a lot. But, I think those three, just by virtue of their roles, look really strong.
So, Kevin, what are you predicting for the Nuggets at ESPN.com?
Look, it's going to be a tough year, and the franchise has kind of made a decision to youthify, and you're putting a rookie at point guard. You're going to have some inexperience up front, at the center position, and Fareed, Chandler, Gallinari, the big contract guys. I mean, I don't think any one of them, is a guy who's going to carry a team's scoring load on a given night. I mean, Chandler's got some offensive abilities. He'll have his share of 20-point nights, and Gallinari can light it up when he's on. But it's going to be a really tough year. I mean, there are 8 or 9 really good teams in the West. There just aren't that many off nights, and they're going to be picking in the top. I predict one of the top 7 or 8.
Well, that's why there's more interest almost in Denver in what the Knicks do than what the Nuggets do because of the possibility of flip-flopping draft choices. You said you like Porzingis. I like him too. I think he's going to be. I mean, he's going to be a very good NBA player, I believe. I mean, I don't think he's going to be world class, but does Carmelo like Porzingis now?
That's going to be an interesting situation. I was talking to one of the very plugged-in New York beat guys when I was there last Friday for the Board of Governors meeting, and there was sort of a parlor game going on in the press room about will Anthony be there come April?
Really?
Is New York at a certain point kind of look at its young assets? Is there enough need on the wing in this league? I mean, look, flaws and all. I mean, you put Carmelo on a contending team. I mean, you have to manage, I think, certain expectations. He might have to, the first time in his career, sublimate his desire to control every possession. But look, the guy's talented, and there are a lot of teams that are going to need help on the wing. Now, again, this was just a parlor game, kind of having fun, spitballing. But you can make the argument that for the Knicks' sake, it might make sense. They're trying to implement a system there. They're trying to grow their youth. I mean, does Carmelo Anthony fit their trajectory? And, you know, he cost a lot of money.
Well, where would you, since you were parloring, where did you like, I mean, is there a chance that Chicago would say, okay, all is forgiven, now we'll take you?
Well, they're more of an offensive team now, too, with Hoiberg at the helm.
I mean, who?
Yeah, you know, I mean, that was sort of the common answer. I mean, I think our minds initially always go to Houston because, you know, Daryl Morey is just resourceful. He's always up to something, you know, always looking to improve. Although, you know, the money, their spreadsheet isn't as amenable to that deal as it has been in past years. They've sort of, you know, spent their kitty. But Chicago was a popular choice. You know, as you say, exactly. Hoiberg is a guy who's just, you know, he wants to instill a new offense there. Yeah, I don't know necessarily how Anthony fits into that style, but look, if they're looking like, you know, they have risen to be the number 2, sure. I mean, I think we'll all be talking about it. I have absolutely no intel that suggests that Chicago's interested. But, again, if you're playing the parlor game, logical choice.
Yeah. I wonder, you were at the Board of Governors, my final question, do you think that the commissioner's going to get his way in terms of getting gambling in this country on NBA games? Or what major story did you take out of the Board of Governors maybe that we're not paying as much attention to as we should?
I mean, the story I'm looking at, and again, it's a pet issue of mine, is I really think for the first time the league is realizing that all this new sports science is suggesting, look, the guys just, the schedule is not amenable. It's not conducive to players playing at the highest levels. I mean, the regular season is too long. It's about player health. The games aren't meaningful. Nobody cares. We sit here talking about how, Cleveland and San Antonio are probably going to just sort of, you know, pace
sleepwalk,
themselves.
yeah.
I mean, why do you want a sport? I mean, you know what's great about the NFL? And I'm not a football fan, but, like, I can't deny they have dominated the sports landscape in this country for a generation. Every single game matters. It is a national holiday in this country on Sundays. You know, the NBA product, there's too much inventory. On top of that, guys are getting injured at an incredible rate. They aren't designed to play 2,500 minutes. It's not a guts thing or an effort thing. It's just their bodies aren't designed for that sort of impact. Wouldn't it be great if we could shorten the season, get these guys rested, have, you know, nobody sitting out just as a matter of course? The smart thing to do in this league. You know, the trend is, sit your guys for 15, 16 games a year. Dwayne Wade here, play 56. You know, that's where we're at. And, you know, for the first time, the new generation of owners, and even Adam Silver said, for the first time, you know, we're looking at it. It's something that we will not rule out. And I think 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, that wasn't the case.
Boy.
Kevin, really,
that would be something. Because the one thing they got to give up is those cities that sell out every game, and it just that's going to be. I mean, you're absolutely right, but boy, that's hard to figure out that even whatever generation it is, owners are going to accept that. I don't know what the solution is, except maybe
it's going to be a tough